Hi, good morning and welcome to Buy Now, Sell Now. I'm Kavita Thapliyal and with me is my colleague Shrishti Sharma, and in next 1 hour we'll be answering your stock specific queries because this is the show where we take your live calls and answer your live queries with the help of our experts. Just in case you want to send across any question which is stock specific, send us on the WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screen and send us the name of the stock, the price at which you've bought it and the time duration for which you want to hold onto the particular stock. We'll give you a technical as well as a fundamental view from our experts. But then, all right, so that's the number 865-797-4571 that's flashing on the screen. And as experts, we have Kunal Bothra and Gaurang Shah who will be answering all of your queries. But then, just before we connect with them, let us just also focus on the market so far. So definitely a firmer Friday we can see, especially since the last few sessions we had. The mood is very constructive ahead of a key domestic inflation data also later due this week. But then let's look at the market. The sectors definitely most of them are. They're looking steady, led by strong momentum in definitely metals, financial services, and select industrial themes. This is reflecting an improving sentiment, also not to miss the mid caps and the small cap. The broader market is also looking at, it looks like emerging this week, especially on mid cap 100 and small cap 100, almost 0.5% up, close to what the major indices are also trading at. But then some defensive and consumer focused area. We are witnessing mild pressure out there, hinting at a cautious demand outlook so far. Overall, the landscape is suggesting balanced optimism with definitely the leadership rotating towards cyclicals and a support from the broader market also. But then let's take a quick check on the market front, technical as well as fundamental, and let's also give a roundup of the entire week because we are talking on, it's a Friday. And Kunal and Gaurang, hi, good morning and welcome to the show. Let's look at the technicals first. Kunal, we did cross 26,000 and we touched almost 26,038, and then that's the range in which we are moving also right now. Even the Bank Nifty 59,545, what are you looking at the level especially closing the week at?
Very good morning to all of you, to Gaurang as well as to all the viewers of ET Now. Now, interestingly, the markets have seen a follow-through up move. I look at it this way, that after yesterday's closing for the index, we are now trying to nudge the territory of 26,000 mark. It's going to be a tough ask for the markets because we've been into a volatile range for the indices. But then it's very good to see that the indices have finally managed to see some bit of follow-through up move after the green which we'd seen yesterday. So that itself, I think, could be a positive for the index over the near term. My expectation is that if we close about this 26,000 mark today, then I believe that we can see the next week the indices trying to come back and conquering the previous new highs of 26,270, 280 thereabouts. So it all matters over here now how the closing happens. The swing which you're seeing on the stock specific front, the sectoral strength which you're seeing, I think all of that is auguring very well. 26,000, as I said, is a key level which we need to look out for in terms of closing basis today.
All right, so that's a take on the technical front. But then, Gaurang, how would you like to summarize this entire week so far?
Thank you so much, Kavita, for having me on the show. Good morning to all the viewers of ET Now, to my good friend Kunal, to you and to Shrishti. A small disclosure before we go further into the show that all recommendations that I'll be sharing this morning are a part of our research team recommendation on the fundamental side long term. Our company Geojit or we do not have any personal investments, no financial interest, no conflict of interest, but we give advice to our clients on similar lines. They might hold their investment interest. So, I would definitely reflect a similar view which my good friend Kulala has mentioned. 2600 crossover remains to be a barrier as of now. And if we are able to give a close about 26,000. If we are able to give a close about 26,000 on the Nifty spot, either today or coming next week, then I think the momentum on the upside could take us to 26,150, 26,200. Stock-specific moves will definitely be there. And to sum up the week, I think it's good to see a positive momentum yesterday and a positive momentum today, though we have kind of come down from the highs that we had earlier witnessed in the morning session. But it remains to be seen how we are going to close the day. Range-bound trade, honestly, Kavita, between 25,700, 25,800 on the lower side and 25,900 to 26,000 on the higher side. Like I mentioned, on the news flows, sector and stock specific move will be the spotlight.
All right, sector and stock specific move is going to be the spotlight. That's the call coming in by Gaurang on the markets. But let's get started with all your stock related queries then, because the show in the next 1 hour, we're going to be taking all your stock related queries and we have our experts to guide you better. So the first query that I have is coming in from Vijay from Chennai. And Kunal, this one is for you because he wants a suggestion with respect to one stock for swing trading for the next 30 days. That's his time horizon and he's planning investment of 50,000 rupees. Any stock that is coming to your radar right now?
There are two names which are coming on the charts in terms of swing trading over here. Maruti is one of them. The stock so far, I think, is confirming a breakout of this previous highs around 16,250, 300 mark. That could be one stock which you can keep on radar. There are multiple reasons for that also, which could probably be an advantage for the stock price. The low beta nature of the stock price, the less volatility the stock has shown in the last few days. The trend being on the positive side for the entire auto sector, that's another aspect which you can look out for. If you're looking at something on the high beta pocket or slightly high beta pocket as compared to Maruti, you might want to look at SRF. The stock today is showing signs of a breakout, potentially above the 200 moving averages. As I mentioned at the start, I think the closing is very important. So assuming if both of these stocks, they close even at current levels or slightly higher, that could probably be signaling a swing breakout for both of these names. So you might want to look out for these stocks from a potential 1 week to 2 week perspective.
All right, so that's a time frame on all the counters recommended by Kunal. But then let's move on. And Gaurang, do you have Welspun Corp in your coverage? This is Vinay from Bangalore and has a query on initiating a buy on this particular counter.
I'm sorry, Kavita, which was the stock?
Welspun.
So I think we have coverage on Welspun Living, if I'm not mistaken. We don't have a coverage on Welspun Corp, so I won't be able to give a specific comment on that. But yeah, on Welspun Living, we have a coverage. We don't have coverage on Welspun Corp. I'm sorry about that.
Kunal, your take?
Yeah, I think it's a good chart on the medium term basis. The last two quarters, the stock has seen a correction. When I look at it on the weekly basis also, the stock has seen a decent correction from 990 to now 800 levels. And it seems that the correction is getting a little bit more arrested for the stock at current levels. So risk reward wise, it's an attractive territory where you can look to start nibbling into the stock price. But my only concern is that the stock is going through a patch of a time-wise correction. And in a time-wise correction, it's always better that you buy the stock at the lower end of the price range, but then you don't hold the stock for a prolonged period of time because then the stock tends to stagnate at a particular range. So 800 thereabouts, I think is a good range where you can look to start nibbling into the stock price. But then on the higher side, say 850, 900 is a good price where you can look to book profits and then maybe reschedule buying at lower levels.
All right, so that's a stat buying that's recommended. But on that note, it's time for a short break. We have Gaurang and Kunal with us in the studio live. Just in case you haven't yet sent across your questions, do it right now on the WhatsApp number and see you after this break. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now, and we are answering your stock-specific queries. And let's get connected with our viewers as well. And we are getting questions from as WhatsApp queries and also as viewers being live on the phone call as well. So I think we have Prakash on the phone line from Delhi with us right now. Prakash, hi, morning. Yeah, you can ask your question.
Yeah, good morning.
Hi.
I have two queries.
Sure.
One is on Dixon Technologies.
Okay.
My cost of acquisition is about I wanted to understand the next 12-month prospects for this company.
Could you repeat your buy price?
15,000.
Sure. Okay.
And the other query is about Abbott India.
Mm-hmm.
I bought that stock at 28,000. Wanted to know the next 12 months, 24 months prospects for both the companies.
All right, both the companies almost 12 months of horizon. Gaurang, I'll come to you first.
Well, Kavita, on the fundamental, currently we don't have a coverage on Dixon or Abbott, but since he's a long-term investor, let me give an insight about the sector and the outlook going forward from here on. I think that first of all, on the Dixon Technologies, first of all, I think in the recent about 3 or 4 days, we had a lot of news flows which was on the negative side on some accounting principles, disclosures, etc., etc. Started with Keynes Techs, then a little bit of negative news on Dixon Tech, then it was followed by a negative news on a company called Electroplast, on which we have a coverage as a disclosure. And after that, we're seeing some kind of stability in a couple of stocks in the EMS sector. Well, the outlook for the EMS sector looks extremely robust with the kind of policies that the government has laid down, whether it is to do with production link incentive scheme or Atmanirbhar Bharat, and reducing our dependency on countries like China and Taiwan for the supplies of chips, semiconductors, PCBs, or control boards. So the sector outlook over a longer period of time looks very, very strong. Not to forget, Kavita, most of these stocks have rallied almost about 50, 60, 70% or more in the last year and a half. And because of the news flows, we are seeing some kind of a negative downside. But long term, the outlook looks extremely positive. On Abbott India also, it's a very, fundamentally very strong company. Volumes are very thin on this counter. Again, the outlook on the sector is very, very strong. So if you invested from a long-term point of view in strong fundamental sound companies, Kavita, short to medium term reaction on the negative side should not be any major reason to change your outlook.
So fundamentally, it's a thumbs up on both the stocks. But then, Kunal, let's also get a tech check from you for Prakash.
So I slightly have a different view because my belief is that the sell-off which we've seen in the recent past for the likes of Dixon, etc., I think could probably have ramifications or impact on the stock price going into 2026. So since the viewer has bought at very recent prices around 15,000 odd mark for Dixon, the stock is now going through a process of a bounce back. It's purely because the stock in the last 2 days back was in a deep oversold territory around the 12,300 kind of a zone. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing the bounce back. Maybe I think this bounce could take the stock back towards 14,000, 14,500, 15,000 levels thereabouts. But I think that could be a zone where I would suggest that you can look to exit the stock price the closer it is to your cost levels. And even the same would be for Abbott, because what has happened is that these stocks are now going to signs where the indicators have started to break down on the monthly, quarterly charts, and that probably, I believe, could probably have effect into the stock price going into 2026, where the trends may be significantly weak, at least in the start. So that's where I would probably categorize that maybe over the near term, you might get into the phase of a bounce back. That's a good zone where you may look to exit both of these names.
All right, but
Hi, welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now, where we are answering your stock-specific queries. Gaurang Shah, Kunal Pochra are experts live on the show today. And let's move on and let's take a very interesting question. This is coming in from Vijay, Chennai, and he's planning to make an investment of 50,000 and asking a suggestion on one stock for swing trading with 30 days time frame. Kunal, I'll come to you.
So I think Maruti could be one of the stocks which you can consider at current levels. That's a chart which looks attractive around the 16,200 to 300 mark as a potential breakout on the short-term basis, and especially given the fact that the stock has given a recent bounce back.
right, so that's the take coming in on Maruti Suzuki. But let's move on to the next query. And Kunal, once again, a query for you, because Ignitis from Kolkata is asking that is HPCL a good buy at these levels?
See, I would suggest to just wait and watch for levels of 460 to be broken out for HPCL, because it seems that the stock is still into a corrective wave, and after this correction, it's going through a time-wise consolidation. The range for HPCL on the downside is 440 to 460. So if it breaks 440 mark, then we are looking at the stock going into a further degree of a short-term correction. But if it manages to close about the 460 levels, then I believe that we can probably expect the stock to come out of this downward sloping trend and then trying to reselect as well as make a comeback. So if you're looking to buy the stock, it's better to buy it at a breakout point above 460 levels on closing basis.
All right. Gaurang, this is a question for you from Mr. Singh. He says he's a senior citizen from Pune and holding 600 quantity of Balkrishna Industries and 990. He wants a fundamental view for long-term hold.
So firstly, Kavita, if you're a senior citizen, you need to be wary of the fact and aware of a fact that investment in stock market is all about high risk, high return. Having said that, uh, Balkrishna Industries, which is also known as BKT tires in the market because of the product that they make. It's a tire manufacturing company. Basically makes radial tires for trucks and buses, a decent amount of market share across pan India. And the outlook remains positive from a long-term point of view on Balkrishna Industries. So if you're a long-term investor, we would recommend a hold on Balkrishna Industries. The outlook is also that, Kavita, that if auto sector is going to do well, then tire manufacturing companies, battery manufacturing companies, and OEM segment companies will also contribute to a great extent in the run-up that we are most likely to witness in the future in the auto pack.
All right, that's the take coming in on select auto counters. But the next query that I have is Gaurang, once again coming for you, because Sudha wants to know, do you like Varun Beverages or Sona BLW at current levels to add in one's portfolio?
So Varun Beverages is something that we've been positive from a long-term point of view. The recent news flow was that you know, and Shristi, as far as I recollect, there is no listed peer competitor that we can do a peer comparison when it comes to Varun Beverages. And there was after being in soft drink, carbonated soft drink packaging, the company also announced, I think, about a month back that they are venturing into alco beverages with one of the well-known companies. I forget the name of that company. And on that news flow also, Varun Beverages saw a decent amount of uptick. Long-term point of view, we have a positive view on Varun Beverages. If you are an investor, continue to hold.
All right, if an investor, continue to hold Varun Beverages. That's Gaurang's take. Kunal, I'll come to you. This is a question from Vijay and it's on PFC. The buying price is 440. He wants to know a short-term target if you can recommend with a stop loss.
Okay, so he's bought it 440. Well, the stock is at 340 levels currently. It looks like that the stock is oversold, but then, the stock is not going through a process of a bounce back, more or less in sync with how the markets are. And generally, we've seen that stocks which go into such kind of a rally, in such kind of a correction, they generally rally once you see a fresh calendar month beginning. So my sense is that potentially for the next 2 or 3 weeks, you might see the stock just about going into a phase of an underperformance or a grind at current levels of 340. Once we see a start the fresh expiry, that's where I would believe that stocks like PFC could go into a reselective rally. And if that happens, you might probably expect the stock to come back to at least 365 to 385 kind of a trading range.
All right, that's the take coming in on PFC. But Gaurang, any take on Rain Industries? Because Rajiv Naveskar, who is writing to us from Mumbai, is holding the shares from a price of 180 rupees. Now he is at quite a loss. What's your view on this one?
Srishti, one of my very kind advice to all the viewers and investors of ET Now is that don't let your capital erode 50, 60, 70% or more, because then the return of your capital itself becomes a tall order and a task. Forget about making profits on that. And this particular company is, if I'm not mistaken, of course, we don't cover Rain Industries, but this particular company is in the news flows for all the wrong reason. And it's known for damaging your invested capital rather than creating wealth. I won't give any specifics because we don't have a coverage. My sense is that a shift would be a better alternative. I'm not suggesting any kind of a sell recommendation over here since we don't have a coverage, but take remedial steps when your limit on the downside gets hit. Alarm bells should ring at an appropriate time.
Right, that's a wise advice for all the investors and not just Rajiv. But Kunal, when one such investor gets stuck in one of these stocks which has given such a fall or shown such a fall, they always hope for a rebound. So given the massive fall on the charts, any indication that it can have a dead cat bounce? Any view?
See, I largely agree with what Gaurang said, because such kind of stocks where you're seeing 50%, 60% correction generally indicate that these are weak stocks in that phase of the market. So it always makes sense to have some sort of a stop loss for such kind of a stocks. On a short-term basis, I believe, yes, the indicators are a little oversold. 106 is where the stock is trading right now. The recent low for the stock was around 9900 levels. Maybe I think if there is a further bounce back from this oversold nature of indicators, you might probably expect the stock to come back to 115 to 120. 120 could be a little bit of a stretch, but 115, 118 could be a trading range which you can expect the stock to bounce back towards. But that could be a point where you may want to consider switching to some other quality names.
All right, 115, 118, the levels that you need to keep in mind. Other short-term question, one more. Kunal, I'll come to you. This is on Tech Mahindra. This is from Satya. He's not given us the buy price, but he wants to add more of Tech Mahindra in his portfolio. And he's asking if at this levels it's advisable.
See, it's a good stock to hold on to, but I'm not sure whether buying the stock or adding the stock at current levels could be a good strategy further, because it has to come back to a point where the stock goes into a mean reversion. I think 1500-ish thereabout is a 200-day moving average for TechM. That's a zone where I would suggest to average out. But as I said, that it's a good stock to hold on to, because we are seeing a good revival coming across for many of the IT names. The best part is Tech Mahindra has been one of the strong performers from the large cap IT stocks as such in this leg of the price pickup. So that I believe could be an advantage to the stock price. Just like I think a couple of days back, there was a mild correction for TechM. The stock had fallen down from 1600 levels to 1540, 50 levels thereabout. So these are these 40, 50 points correction which you can try and take advantage of. But buying this on a peak of momentum is something which I would not advise.
But sticking with the IT theme, Kunal, any view on Infosys, wherein K. Narasimha Reddy, long-term investor, has bought 30 shares at a price of 1504 rupees?
Yeah, I would suggest to hold on to the stock. Again, I think Infosys has been one of the few stocks which has started to look very attractive. Very recently, just about I think a couple of weeks back, the stock had broken past above its 200-day moving average. That was a confirmation that the potential near to medium-term trend for Infosys is now getting a lot more positive than what was in the last 8-9 months when the stock was reeling below the 200 DMA. Near-term wise, I would suggest a hold on Infosys, and since you've purchased at levels of 1500-ish thereabout, I would suggest maybe a 3-month to 6 month target of 1680 to 1720 thereabouts for Infosys.
Right, that's the outlook on the tech counters. But Gaurang, time to invest in Interglobe Aviation. This is a question from Mr. Raju from Tamil Nadu.
Well, I'm sure he's aware about the development that we all have witnessed as far as Interglobe is concerned. Kavita, look, this is my personal opinion. Given the kind of market share that Indigo had of 65%, you had no business to make travelers or passengers suffer the way you made them suffer. And even now, if I'm not mistaken, though the company and the CEO is claiming that operations are back to normal, I don't think so. The ground level, there's a different picture altogether. On the fundamental side, yes, whether it is time to invest, unfortunately, I'm not a great advisor on time and levels. Kunal is better equipped for that. But if you're looking at a long-term fundamental investment in Interglobe Aviation, considering the fact that in the immediate short to medium term, there could be news-based driven volatility on Interglobe, but long-term, the fact still remains that it is one of the largest operator. We have a positive coverage. We have a buy call in Interglobe Aviation. Now, the strategy would be that don't deploy all your money at current levels. Start maybe 30, 40, 50%, depending upon whatever risk appetite you have. And gradually on dips, add to it in the short to medium term, given the news flows overhang. But long term, the future looks quite positive.
All right, so that's the take coming in on Interglobe Aviation. Let's watch out for that. But with this, time now to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll take more of your stock-related queries on the other side. Welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now show, where we get you answers for all your stock related queries. We do have Kunal as well as Gaurang to guide you better. There's so many queries that are trickling in and taking up the next one, and this one is coming in from Poonam from Punjab. And Gaurang, she specifically wants your view. I'm not sure whether this one is in your coverage, but stock is PNC Infra, wherein Poonam has already bought the shares at a price of 379 rupees. Gaurang, any advice here? Okay, I think that there's some audio glitch with Gaurang. We'll try to fix this one because this query was specifically for him. But Kunal, meanwhile, any of your takes, because in the last 6 months, the stock is already down 17%.
Yeah, it's down 17%, but it's come back towards the previous support around the March-April 2025 points, where the stock had hit levels of 250 thereabouts. So it's come back to that kind of a support territory. So it's a good risk reward where you can look to start buying purely from a trading perspective. And in this process of a bounce back, I would expect that potentially over the next 3 months or so, there could be a zone where the stock may, if it takes support at this current levels, go into a bounce back, and that bounce could take the stock back towards at least 275 to 285 kind of a territory.
All right, let's move on. And this is a question from Mr. Bhushan and Crompton Greaves. He wants to know a buy level from you, Kunal.
See, I think Crompton on the short-term charts seems that the stock is still going to a sharp corrective mode. It's almost at 250 levels. I would suggest a buy once the stock confirms a breakout of sorts. That could probably happen once you see maybe a break of 260, 265 barrier. So not suggesting a buy at current levels, but maybe about 260, 265 is where you can consider buying the stock.
That's the take coming in on Crompton Greaves. At lower levels, you can consider buying. But Kunal, the next query is coming in from Vidya. She's looking to make a fresh investment in Anant Raj. This is one of the counters that even we have been discussing of late. The management was on the channel a couple of days back. Vidya wants to know, is this a good stock to enter at these levels? She's looking to hold on to it for the next 3 years.
See, in terms of beta, it's very, very high beta stock. So you'll have to be ready to digest, movements of even 20-30% in a matter of, few weeks for the stock price. That, goes without any doubt, because even if you look at the last, I think 3-4 weeks of price performance, the stock had fallen from 650 levels to now, I think at one point yesterday or day before, the stock was sub 500 levels. So it tells you that the 20% correction generally happens very, very quickly into the stock prices. Currently, the stock is up, 5% broadly. And I think it looks like that maybe the stock has formed a near-term bottom for itself. But the only catch over here is that you'll have to have a very high-risk appetite to try and digest the volatility into the stock price. Other than that, I think it's a good stock to good stock price level to look at for current zone for Anant Raj.
Okay. Kunal, this is a question for on SBI, but it's a longer time frame. It's almost for 5 years. But Mohit wants to know the right price to enter right now.
See, I think for SBI, I think you may not get into a right price zone, but if you look to accumulate, then I think current levels sub the 950 mark for SBI could be a good starting point. The stock generally doesn't go into a sharp corrective phase. PSU banking stocks have gone through a grind, I would say, in the last 1 week. After 3 months of, I would say, a very strong price performance, you're seeing the names like SBI, Bank of Baroda, PNB, etc. They're going through a bit of a profit booking kind of a spree. So I think at current levels of 950, you can look to start investing and then keep a staggered, buy around 25 points for SBI. So you can start at 950, 925, 900. Those could be points where you may look to start averaging out.
All right, that's the take coming in on SBI. But Gaurang, now that you are back, let me take the next query from you. This query is coming in from Swati, and she wants to invest some amount in healthcare or hospital stocks overall. Can add to that is fertilizer stocks as well. Couple of counters that she has shortlisted for herself is Deepak Fertilizers as well as Fortis Healthcare. What will be your advice amongst these two pockets? What will be your preferred picks, and any specific take on both of these?
So first of all, apologies, Shrishti. I had a little bit of internet connection. I hope I'm audible and visible right now. So on Deepak Fertilizer, well, it's a strong company, but unfortunately, since we don't have a coverage, I can't give a buy sell. I can give an alternative investment idea since she's not yet invested. Coromandel International. This is one stock with respect to the fertilizer stroke urea sector that you can look at. On the healthcare hospitals, we are positive on a couple of names: Apollo Hospital, Fortis Healthcare, Max Health, and Krishna Institute of Medical Science. These are the names, and yes, Fortis, if she is identified from a long-term point of view, I would definitely recommend that you can go ahead and invest in Fortis. Then, more importantly, Shrishti, most of these healthcare hospital stocks post the second quarter earnings, the management has given out an elaborated capex because of the kind of demand that is rising in India.
All right. One more fundamental question for you, Gaurang. This is coming in from Rupa, and she wants to know the setup of Solar Vineyards for a buy right now.
I'm sorry, which was the stock, Kavita?
Solar Vineyards.
Uh, so we are positive on the sector, that is Alco Beverages. We have a coverage on United Spirits and United Beverages. Sula Vineyard caters to a particular segment of this particular sector, has limitation in terms of product offering. We don't cover Sula Vineyards, but yeah, if you're not invested in Sula Vineyard and if you're looking at this Alco Beverages or high spirit sector, then either United Beverages or United Spirits could be a better option. And these companies have a long list of product profile at various categories.
Kunal, your take?
See, I would not suggest to buy the stock at current levels, purely because the stock is available at a cheap price. That doesn't mean that you look to invest into the stock price. There has to be a degree of conviction. It's always okay to buy stocks when they make a comeback for themselves, because at least then at that point of time there is a lot of conviction, or at least slight bit of more confidence. Right now, you would be looking to buy the stock at current levels with the hope and anticipation that maybe something positive could turn around. So that's what I would categorize. Maybe an avoid on Sula Vineyards at current levels. There are better names available in the sector. I think Radico has done phenomenally well. That's a stock which continues to be very strong on the short-term charts. You might want to look at United Spirits. The stock is also holding on to its levels above the 1400 mark, the recent last I had seen for itself. So that's another name which looks very attractive.
On some of these Alcobev plays, but with this we are timed out in this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. Thank you so much, Gaurang, as well as Kunal, for taking the time out and helping our viewers resolve their stock related queries.